40 Plus and a graduate of the program from a couple of years ago. I'm delighted to introduce one of my fellow graduates and board members, our leader and chair of our board, Gerald Skinner.
And thank you all for coming. I'm so excited that you all are here despite the very cold weather that we're battling right now. I want to share a little bit about 40 Plus with you. How many people have been to our 40 Plus Monday morning meetings before? Anissa, okay. Quite a few. How many are here for the first time? One? Only two. Okay. So for the benefit of the two people who are here for the first time, I want to tell you a little bit about 40 Plus, who we are, who we have been. We are a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization. So everything you see going on here is all put on by volunteers giving of their time because we really love the organization so much. And you will hopefully get to love it too. We have free services to the community on Monday mornings. Every Monday morning at 9:45, the doors open and we have very insightful and engaging speakers to address a variety of topics all around career transition, looking not only for a new job, maybe a new career, or maybe an additional income stream. So we really would love for people to come to our Monday morning meetings if you can, because it is a free service and we do it with all our heart to make sure that you're well informed and that you start your week off in a good way, meeting new people, learning something new through the speaker, and certainly networking with other people who are in career transition as well, and some who may have already successfully transitioned and are just trying to keep in touch with the latest and greatest information regarding career development. Let me tell you a little bit about 40 Plus overall as an organization. It was set up here in DC in 1953 by very famous people such as J.C. Penney of J.C. Penney Retailing, Tom Watson, the founder of IBM, Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. And these people were avant-garde in their time because they realized that even though they had already survived the Great Depression and the Second World War and things were picking up, they realized that when people reached a certain age, there is greater and greater difficulty in getting back into the workforce. And as a matter of fact, the first 40 Plus was established in New York right after the Great Depression to help people of a certain age get back into the workforce. So they exported the positive experience they had in New York and brought it to DC. And since 1953, we've been serving the DC area, the whole tri-state area, absolutely free in terms of our community service. And again, as I say, all volunteer. I want to take the opportunity to let you know two things. We're going to be 65 this year in 2018. 65 years. And we're not retiring. And one of the things that I am so proud of is, all to the contrary, we have very agile, very committed people to carrying on with the day-to-day of 40 Plus. And I want, on behalf of the board, I want to thank Ken Shopman, who puts on these wonderful speakers, as you will see today. Ken, thank you so much. He's our Director of Partnerships and Programming. And Eric, who is somehow not here. He's working. Eric Herting, who is our Executive Director, and he has done a fantastic job of organizing not only the day-to-day of the organization, but as well helping us to take advanced steps toward making sure that the course that we offer is the very best it can be. We are conducting pre-assessments prior to the course that we're offering, and post-assessments so that we can show the community this is what our organization does. We are helping the people that take our course improve their capacity to interview well, to have the optimal resume for the job that they are applying for. So I just want to thank all the people that did the pre-assessment today. Raise your hand if you were a facilitator, an interviewer here. Linda, Hal, and as well Ron, who helped us out as well to, have everything going smoothly. So thank you to everyone. I'm so sorry Erica's not here, but certainly to Ken as well. They are the backbone right now of the organization, and we are very grateful to them.
And we always welcome more volunteers. So if you'd like to be part of the fun, please talk to us. The needs are many and the hands are few. So if there's something you'd like to try out, for example, for myself, I really hadn't done a lot of facilitating before. And 40 Plus has been a great opportunity for me to improve those skills. So if there's something you want to build on, or something you've done professionally that you'd like to sharpen your skills, come see us, because we certainly could probably use the help. So.
And for the new folk that are here, please keep in mind our class. How many that are here are graduates of the class? Mm-hmm. All right, we have almost 10 about. Ask any one of us about the class, and I am certain that all of us will tell you the class is truly worth it. And it is taught by graduates of the class who are in turn coming back and giving back to the organization because they have found their job and now they're giving back. Okay? So I just want to thank everyone for coming again, and let me pass it on to Ken. Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Gerald. Appreciate it. Well, thank you all again for coming. We have a terrific program. We thought that this topic perhaps would resonate given the time of year. If you're someone like me who maybe likes to overindulge a little bit at the holidays, makes maybe be a little too generous than you should be, especially if, like me, you're in transition and there isn't really a revenue stream, an income stream coming in, January can be the cruelest month, right? Because those bills come due. So we're going to hear from two of our 40 plus friends about ideas, ways to be creative about generating income during your career transition, and also ways to monetize your skills, your assets, perhaps not just during your transition, but beyond. We're going to have kind of an interview format here, which is why it looks a little bit different than we've had before. And we're delighted to welcome back Angela Heath. Angela is an entrepreneur, a speaker, a trainer, and an author. She's written 3 books on subjects ranging from curriculum development to helping professionals survive and thrive in the gig economy. She's a sought-after speaker and advanced level Toastmaster. She's crisscrossed the country training and lecturing. With her unique, charismatic style, she encourages, challenges, and teaches her audience in an exhilarating and exciting fashion. I've participated in her programs, and that's certainly true. Audiences leave her presentations informed about the subject, motivated, and armed with practical action plans. Angela is an expert at helping boomers reinvent themselves, converting life experiences and passion into profit as they build the lifestyle businesses that they love. She has 2 books coming out, or has written books, including Do the Hustle Without the Hassle, a quick, simple, affordable way to make money online at age 45 plus. She's watched many mature workers panic and lose hope because they were laid off, and others who were burned out experiencing a midlife career crisis. And she thought, I can help them discover where their talents, skills, and passions intersect with the marketplace. They can live a life of meaning and make money. Today, Angela resides in Washington, D.C. with her son and is ready to put her fourth book, Do the Hustle Without the Hassle, and making that a radical success. She's engaging in various aspects of our community, including our 40-plus audience, on how to participate in the gig economy. So we're delighted to have Angela here. Our second speaker is Edmund Fleet. Edmund is a recent graduate of our program and has previously been the executive director for the ARC, which is Town Hall Education Arts Recreation Campus, building bridges across the river, where he was the executive director for 11 years, providing leadership and supervision to a staff of 20 whose strategic goals and the mission of the organization. Prior to that, he was Director of Community Programs at W.C. Smith, which administered a summer youth employment program, and also he's been an educator at the DC Public Schools. Edmund's going to talk about his experiences in transition and some of the creative ways he's launched to generate revenue and income for himself during this transition period and the progress of his search. So please join me in welcoming Angela and Edmund.
Okay. So, hi everybody.
Hi.
We're gonna have some fun this evening. So, I can talk about a lot of things, but I want to talk about what you want to hear. You spent money to come here. So why are you here? And I will adjust my presentation accordingly. Why are you here?
How to make an income.
For the snacks? No. Go ahead.
How to make an income lost in transition.
Okay. Why are you guys here? I mean, it's got to be, the topic, of course, would draw you here, but is there anything in particular you want me to touch on? Anything? If I don't know it, I'll tell you I don't, and hopefully I can refer you to a good resource. Yes?
I'm doing some contract work, and I'm working on a possible second contract with another organization. And I just want to make sure I'm thinking of the right things when I'm working on deciding whether to accept a contract and what should be in it.
Okay. So some contract information. What else? Yes.
I like the title of your upcoming book. I mean, The Hustle Without the Hassle. I mean, everybody says you can just make some money, but it's like a hassle in some regards. To chase clients, do the billing, do the work, and always looking for the next deal. It's not fun.
So hassle is a continuum. So you can be stressed out hassled, or you can be I got to get this done hassled. So it's all relative, but we are going to touch on that. Anybody else? Anything in particular?
Yeah, I'd also like to hear about where to look for some of these opportunities. I mean, mostly focused on finding our next full-time position, but it would be great. I mean, it's sort of draining to do that, like 40, 50 hours a week. It'd be great to shift gears, do some side hustle, make some money, get a check.
So some side hustle opportunities.
Absolute dittos. How to find the opportunity to generate the income.
Okay. All righty. Anybody else? Yes.
You know, how do I market myself? How do I market my skills?
How do you market? And you?
How to find someone some kind of a job when nobody's really hiring.
Okay. Nobody's hiring. Okay. So, what I had planned to talk about was just 6 areas that you should consider as you move forward in your quest to generate some income. So I'm going to try to make sure we answer these, but I want to start with, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is important, but I'm sure you've heard it like 1,000 times. But why this presentation is so important is not only the fact that you need money or you want money. It's not only the fact that you want to vary your week with something a little more meaningful, but it's the fact that everything is changing. There's exponential change in the air. You think about artificial intelligence. It's putting people out of work. I was really surprised. I was here about, I don't even know if it was a year ago. It was less than a year ago. And there was that restaurant called Pizza. I don't know if you guys ever went in there, but that was a restaurant that was all automated. There was one person there, but you put your credit card into the machine, you ordered on a kiosk thing, and it was a row of, what would you call those? Bins, kind of. Your name came up on the screen and told you to go get your lunch out of bin 10, and you went and tapped it, and it opened up, and there was your lunch. Anybody used to watch the Jetsons?
Yeah.
It was that kind of thing. I loved it. I was like, oh, this is really cool. But it's already gone. Yeah. But artificial intelligence is causing a lot of people to lose their jobs. Technology is causing a lot of people to lose their jobs, and this is just going to increase. So I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news, but I am trying to prepare you for what's coming. The numbers don't lie. People who are called long-term unemployed are people who have been unemployed for 6 months or more. What age group do you think comprises that group?
Older workers.
Mature workers. The numbers don't lie. So we do know that there's age discrimination in employment. That's why they created a law way back when. And we also know that it has grown over the years. We also know that the offices that deal with discrimination, the age discrimination in employment is the one that they never hear about. I just talked to a guy. He said they don't hear much about it. They know what's going on. Everything is going back to the future. Okay, bring out your history lesson. Remember pre-industrial revolution. What were people doing? They were using what they know. They were using skills and talents. They were working their hands. They were creating something. And they were creating the entire thing from beginning to end, right? So then when we became industrialized, we no longer were able to create the entire thing. We put a nut, we put a bolt, but we didn't even know what the thing looked like when it was finished. But we've gone from a time when people were very skilled to a time where people were very narrow focused, and now we've gone into the information age where knowledge is king. But what is happening is people now have to draw on those skill sets that they did way back when, and they have to create their own. Because the gig economy is here to stay. It may look different because there are some things that are bubbling up. The gig economy got ahead of the government. The government didn't measure it. They don't know what to do about it. They're trying to figure out how to define it. Every couple years a new rule comes out about who's an employee, who's a contractor. They don't get it. But the corporations right now are saying, I like this because I can hire cheap. I can be globally competitive for talent, and I can pay, I can get away from paying benefits. I don't have to have as much structure in terms of facility. They like it. It's here to stay. So that's why this presentation is important. Because I think sometimes people, as we get older, what has happened is our parents told us to get a good government job. They told us to get an IBM job, right? And if you got that, or even the post office, you were kind of set, and you were gonna stay there and get your gold watch. But we know there are no more gold watches. So this is what we're gonna cover. As a man thinks is mindset. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that because I know you get that a lot here. But it's critical. And this mindset is different talking about making money than it is talking about getting a job. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. What you already have. Being very creative and very broad in your thinking about what do you actually bring to the table. I'm going to give you some fast pathways to cash that you probably have not thought about and you may not even want to do. But it depends on how much you want some money. We're going to talk about online gig work. Anybody had any contracts from online gig work? Wow. Okay, nobody. And then we're going to talk about business startup. Okay, so this is what I heard when I think the last time I was here, when people were telling me about, they lost their job or they left, whatever. They were saying they were isolated, they were angry. Some people even said that it felt like it was a death. It's a midlife crisis, right? So that's because we've been thinking of it just one way. We've been thinking of it like, for whatever reason, they don't want me anymore. And for whatever reason, I'm not getting the interviews that I used to get when I was younger. So we're thinking about it one way. And what I want you guys to do is think about another way. And so when I talk about mindset, I'm talking about a new way of looking at what you bring to the table. So somebody tell me, how do you feel right now, given the fact that you're looking for a job at your age? Anybody? Yes.
Feel pretty good.
I love you. That's the right answer.
I'm thinking about everything else.
But that's the right answer. You've got to feel good. Because you know this. You've heard this 1,000 times, but if you feel anxious, if you feel stressed, if you feel like nobody wants you, nobody will want you, because as you think, that's what you are. And so one of the things I like to talk to people about is what is it that you already have? And I have something called the big assessment. When you look at your talents are the things that you were born with. Things that people have always told you that you're good with. You know, people come to you for advice, or they come to you for your artwork, they come to you for whatever that skill is. And then your skills are things that you've learned along the way. You got a degree, you got a certificate, you worked in this industry. And your passion, there's something inside of every one of us just won't die. It's that old crusty dream that maybe you were told you can't make any money with. People are making money with some of the weirdest things these days. You might be able to make some money with that crusty old dream. But what you want to find out is, where does all of that intersect the marketplace? And I talk about a 360 assessment where you can look at all of this and look at it a different way. So real quickly, somebody tell me one of the talents or skills or passions that you have. And let's try to do a quick 360. Come on now. We only got an hour. Okay.
Working out.
Working out. Okay, cool. And you look nice and slim and fit. Okay, so what can she do with this talent that she has? Come on, help her.
Become a trainer.
She could be a trainer. That's the more obvious thing. What else can she do?
Dog walk.
What? I'm sorry?
Dog walk.
Dog walk.
Dog walking. Okay, what else?
Endorse product.
Info product. Absolutely. What else?
Sell equipment.
Sell equipment. What else?
Fitness coach.
A fitness coach, or do a food item.
Jenny Craig like that.
You know, I didn't know that it's very easy to have your own drink. The nutrition drinks, they pretty much have all the same base. And then you go in and say, oh, I want some cranberries in mine and a little almond milk. They're all pretty much the same base. But you have to think about, you're fit and you're into fitness. What can you sell? What can you fix? What can you teach? What can you improve? Where do you see the big problem? Now, we do know that America is like overweight. I mean, generally speaking, the whole country, right? So what's happening around you that you can plug into? Diabetes, huge. You can come up with a program for diabetics. Let me give you an example of that.
Excuse me, Nelson, she's a registered dietitian.
No, I'm not talking about that. She can do a program for diabetes. Let me explain. There's a guy that actually, he was my coach at one point. He's out in California, and this is how he did it. He was into fitness, and he saw that the marketplace was saturated out in LA. Everybody has a gym. So he said, where is there something missing? He looked at all the competitors around him, and he said, what is missing is a place for new moms to go where they can bring the infant. So he rented an old, nasty, stinky, raggedy garage. They cleaned it up, and they painted it, and they put some mats on one side for the little seats that the babies sit in, the little carriages, and the moms worked out on the other side. He was booked all the time. And then he thought, oh my gosh, I can't even get all of these people in here because it's just a small garage. What else can I do? He made workout tapes and sold them. And those mothers loved him so much that they sold for him. and he didn't pay them. You have got to think broadly about what you can do with yourself. And I would never advise her to do something, you know, where she's going to harm a person, where she wouldn't go and try to be a medical expert or something like that. But there's things you can do around diabetes. You can do diabetic exercise programs. You can do green smoothies for diabetics. There are things that you can do, but you gotta look around and you gotta think about your skills very, very differently.
And Angel, I want to interject, the Diabetes Association actually is looking for a new executive director.
But I mean, do you guys get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because what has been happening is that for most of you, I'm assuming, and if I'm wrong, throw me on the carpet, but I'm assuming that most of you have been looking for a job very similar to what you've done your whole life.
Right.
You haven't thought broad. You haven't taken your skills, your talents, and your passions and put them together and mixed them up and said, what's happening in the world that I can contribute to? There is something that people need that only you can solve because you've got that exact mix of stuff that they're waiting for. But you've got to find it. That's your job. So you want to assess. And so now I'm going to get into some unusual ways of making money. And this, I have to ask you, you have to be willing to sell. You have to be willing to be creative. You have to be willing to be bold. Some of you are not bold enough. You have money right in front of you, but you won't pick it up. I just had that experience in here when I first got here. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, but I just had that experience. You have to be open. So what I might share with you is probably going to be things, and how many of you guys in here are like in the professional arena? See, most of the people in here. So this may not be professional, but you never know. Maybe something that you like. So let's talk about what you already have. You have a spare room in your house, rent it out. No, you don't want anybody to live with you, but if you need money, rent it out. You got a car, Uber. Now, I've heard that Uber, people are saying that they're really not making enough money. I don't know, but you have to check that out on your own. Figure out a way where people can make money with Uber.
One caveat with spare rooms, some municipalities, some states, some cities, they do have restrictions on these types of things, whether you can rent out a room or not. So that's something you want to be very careful about.
True, you're not going to break the law. And if you got a homeowners association, you're not going to break the rules. But if you can, rent your spare room. Items for sale. Clean out your garage. There's a bunch of stuff in there people will buy. Surprisingly, they spend a lot of money for old like records and old like electronic things and gadgets. I know people who have cleaned out their garages and have made like $800–900. And no, that's not gonna save you from losing your house, but it's gonna help you to survive. Lessons. If you can do anything, you can teach it. It doesn't matter what it is. A skill, a talent. People are looking to learn. Didn't I just say this was the information age?
Yeah.
They want to learn. What can you teach? And don't just think about your last job. There was a woman that I coached who worked in the government, and she told me she had some top secret something. She couldn't even tell me what she used to do. So I was like, okay, you got to come up with something. I can't help a zero. So we started exploring her hobbies, and she was a master quilter. So we came up with at least a dozen opportunities for her to make money. We even came up with ways for her. See, I'm always thinking, like, you can start small, but I'm always thinking you're going to graduate to big. See, I'm already seeing her stuff like being fundraisers for large organizations and hanging in the lobby of the corporation. I'm already, I'm there. And she left. She was so happy because she had been unemployed for a year and a half. She was about to lose her house. But she called me the next day and she said, Angela, that sounds really good, but I can't do it. I was like, we just did a strategy. Why not? She said, because that means I have to sell. Some of you don't want to sell. If you don't want to sell, you can't get a job because you sell every day. If you're single, you got to sell to get a mate. You know, if you want extra money, you got to sell. So teach people. Bike. People even rent out their bikes peer-to-peer. Yes.
And what, for people like myself who's not a natural salesperson, what is a good vehicle to sell? So whether you have items to sell or a skill to give lessons, what is the best medium to sell? Is it or to get like quality clients?
Okay, it depends on what you're selling. You have to
Okay.
go where your market is.
Okay.
But a lot of people who don't like to sell will sell things online so they don't have to see the people's eyes.
Okay.
So if you really don't like to sell, you can't do stuff online.
Mm-hmm.
But you still got to learn how to sell. You got to learn how to tell people that they can buy something from you. You don't know how many presentations I've gone to and people I know they have something to sell and they never ask people to buy. You do have to sell. But there's all kinds of opportunities. Rent out your bike. If you have a dog bed, you can rent out your dog bed. Because people are now saying they don't want to board their dogs because they come back sick. But if you're a loving dog person and your dog needs a companion for the weekend, you can make some money doing that.
Actually, I have a story. Don't laugh. There is my own daughter, over the holidays, had to put her dog in the vet has a hotel of sorts, right? She spent $1,300 for 3 weeks. So, and that's just a small vet's office. And a friend of hers is doing dog walking, and I think per hour she has 2 clients, and each one pays her $50 an hour. So it's true. The money is there.
I know.
It's incredible.
You gotta go get it.
It's incredible.
You know, bags, ladies, usually got a ton of designer bags. I know some of you got those designer bags. You can rent those or you can sell those. So these are things that you already have. Things that you probably don't think about that you can make some extra money. Now, this is the first thing people always tell me when I go through this stuff. They say, oh, it's not going to be enough money. Many years ago, you know, I was complaining to God because I got a bunch of little small contracts. And I like big contracts, so I wasn't happy. So I was complaining. At the end of the year, I made more money that year off all those little bitty contracts I had ever made in my life. Do not despise little contracts. You become rich off little contracts. Okay. Yes.
So Andrew, can you tell us a little bit more about that? You know, the money thing, lending club. What was that?
There are websites right now where you can actually lend money for interest. So you just gotta look them up. They're called lending clubs.
I would just say I'm actually kind of full disclosure. I'm actually investigating lending clubs. I would say they
You have to do your homework.
do your homework because they do have rates that are somewhat astronomical. So I would say do your due diligence.
Well, I mean, all of this stuff, you're going to have to do your homework. I can't do your homework for you. All of this, you're going to have to figure out, is that for me? And if it's something that you want to do, you're going to be a good consumer. You're going to make sure it's not a scam. You're going to make sure that it makes sense for you. You're going to put every measure of protection for yourself that you can. But sometimes you might get burned, but other times you may not. Yes?
Quick question. One of the things you mentioned earlier was teaching.
Uh-huh.
So you have a skill you might want to teach people. Do you want to say anything about how you might explore that? I know a lot of counties have adult education things. that's one way to get in on it. Yeah, are there any other ideas?
You can make up your own stuff. Going with the county is cool if you can get in, but you have to work pretty hard if you don't have a connection to get in.
Right.
So you can make up a course. What do you like to do? What are you going to teach on?
Writing. Any kind of some kind
Oh,
of.
you can make a fortune. Because you've been a reporter, your background is solid. So you could do a set, you could first do a Facebook ad, cheap, you won't even spend $20 if you target your market correctly. Do a Facebook ad and say you're going to do a free webinar on the 5 writing secrets of the successful writer. I don't know, come up with your own title. And then you teach. You use a free platform, Zoom. You familiar with Zoom? Use Zoom. It's a free platform. Do some PowerPoints. You do your free webinar, and at the end of the webinar, you tell them that you're going to offer a class for writers. So you can develop your own thing. Everybody in here is an expert at something. You can teach it. Now, so you're going to do Facebook ads. You could also work with meetup groups, you know, to promote it. I'm always looking for cheap ways that you can promote stuff. Go to association meetings where people hire writers, not where the writers are, because they're probably not going to come to your class, but where people hire writers. I don't know.
Craigslist.
What?
Craigslist.
Craigslist?
The reason I say that, there's so many people that are looking for writers and stuff, so that's why it's. Have you ever actually responded to one of those ads?
And again, you got to be careful. You got to be careful with all of this. But anyway, you get what I'm talking about.
Right. Give them something free, then you
Yeah.
offer the
Haven't you gone to the free stuff and then they try to rope you in? So you do the same thing. You do the same thing. Okay? Now, these are fast pathways to cash that you guys probably don't want to do, but you can make money off this. Closet makeovers, concierge services, gardening services, garage cleaning. You can make money. One of my friends is a master gardener, and she was having financial problems, and I was like, please, don't tell me that. Use what you have. So she ended up doing a herb garden, an outdoor herb garden at a restaurant downtown DC. Everybody loved it because you're sitting there, you're eating, and the people come past and they snip a little of this and they snip a little of that, and they're going to put it in your meals. You got totally fresh herbs. So she did that, and so I said, you take, all you need is one. All you need is one client. You get one client, you can blow that thing up. So I said, you take that experience, you get a testimonial from the man, you get pictures of smiling people sitting there smelling the rosemary and being happy and eating delicious food, and then you go to his competitors and you say, hey, you got outdoor space, I noticed, let me do this for you too. This is all the rave in California. So she made about $1,200. I think it took her a day and a couple hours. But she didn't want to sell. She didn't take it any further than that. That frustrates me. Okay.
Can you just be a little bit more descriptive with concierge services?
You can go to like a condo association.
Okay.
And if they don't have like a door person or whatever, you can ask them, can you bring in concierge services where you got to go to high end? Because people who don't want to pay don't go there. Go to high end and say, can I bring in concierge services, work out a deal with them, whatever you make, you give, you have to give.
What am
them.
I doing?
Oh, helping people connect with whatever they want to connect with. Tickets to the theater or baseball tickets, or telling them where the best shops are. But you would just, what a regular concierge does, they just help you figure out whatever you want to figure out.
But not in a hotel, in a condo building.
You can do it anywhere. You can go to a condo building and suggest that they purchase that from you.
Basically, I think it's what you're talking about is errand running services.
Well,
concierge sounds better.
Concierge.
Right about that.
I mean, isn't that kind of what it is?
Kind of, but concierge also are information providers.
Right.
They put packages of information together. They don't always go run and do stuff for you. They can.
Well, there you go, there's another one.
They help you.
There's another
They help you manage your life.
Well, I was just thinking that, like, say, for example, especially in the cold, let's say elderly or disabled who have a hard time getting out, maybe like errands running or something like that. I saw an ad for like personal shopper, something like that.
Yeah, there are companies that do that. Yeah. You gotta just look at the market and say, what's going on in the market and where do I fit in? Let me give you an example from this. A young girl who was an artist, she was drawing these beautiful murals. And so some pregnant woman came over their house and said, oh, can you do my nursery? She said, sure. So she goes over and she paints whatever the lady wants. Then all the lady's friends come, oh, the nursery's gorgeous. How old you did that mural? Oh, the little girl down there. Next thing you know, she's got all these clients. She was like 16 when she started. She paid her way through college painting murals. Then when she got out of college, she thought, oh, I wonder if I can make a business out of that. She did it for a little while, but she really didn't like it, and she went on to something else, but she developed a bigger business. You can do this stuff. Look back into your past. Look at those little nuggets that you buried. Okay, let's go to this. The online digital marketplace.
You want to also mailbox design?
Oh, okay, this is a good one. This is a good one.
Somebody's like, what is that?
Okay, so this guy, this one, oh, I love this story. This woman was pregnant. Well, she just newly pregnant. And they were living in an apartment. They were not good money managers. And she said, I want to be in the house when that baby comes. So we're doing everything we can. So she knew French. She started tutoring, and then she got groups, and she started doing everything she could to make money. She said, what are you going to do? He's like, I don't know what to do. So he went over to a neighborhood, and he noticed that somebody had a mailbox that looked like their house. We actually have those kind of mailboxes in Potomac. It looks like their house. Everybody on the street thought that was the most cutest mailbox. So he just said, I know to do a little bit of woodwork. He knocked on people's doors and said, hey, your neighbor seen that in the mailbox? I can do that for you. He did the whole community. And they were in, where were they? In Texas. I don't know if you can do that here, but he also put the address on the curve of the whatever. Mm-hmm. So he did those two things. And right before the baby came, they were in their house.
Wow.
There's so much you can do. I don't want you guys to get stuck, you know? I'm going to show you a couple of these. Time is running out, but I'm just going to...
Should we write those down?
Can you send the presentation?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, you already have it.
Do we? If you signed up for it, you sent it to us?
No, I didn't send it to you. I sent it to 40 Plus.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Ken already has it.
Okay. We'll distribute.
Anyway.
You wrote your name in the front with your email address. We'll distribute.
Okay. I have about 200 and some odd online gig economy sites. So I just picked a few. But basically anything you do, you can find something where you can sell online. And so this is basically the way it works. So you go online, you create a profile of yourself. It's just like getting a job. You create a profile, and in some instances, depending on what you do, you will also create a portfolio where you put examples of your work, the reviews you get, all of that good stuff in there. And then you either, there's three types. They're, you know, some are mixed together, but basically you either go to a job board and you just apply for part-time temporary things just like anything else, or the company will match you with opportunities, a short list they'll send to a client, or you go and bid.
This is the freelancer.
All of these. These are called gig economy digital marketplace sites. Let me go to one of them. And the good thing about it is that anything you do, you can usually find. Okay, what's this mean? Okay, so here's one. See the competition, 147,000 users, and right now they got 2,900 openings. Now the bad thing about this is that you got international competition. So these are like the general gig sites where they have openings for all kinds of stuff. If you can find a niche site, your competition is going to be less. But basically, this one, there's no commission. You just look for freelancers, and you just look for jobs. And these are the freelancers. I went to freelancers, I'm sorry, should have gone to projects. Those are the freelancers, so that's going to be your competition. Yeah. And then here's all of the jobs. So it's, it's a little bit of everything. Let me go to another one, just to show you how different they are. Oh, this is one I really like. Your Encore. I like this because it's for experts. How many of you guys are experts? See, you can go over here and get some work. It's for experts, and so most of the people on here tend to be a little bit, mature. So I do like that. So to become an expert, it tells you about their program, how you get involved, developing your thought leadership. But yeah, they got all kinds of opportunities on here that you can apply for. I'm just trying to see. So there's all the industries they serve. Okay. How does it work? Mostly all of these sites you can find how does it work. Now this is the good thing. Most of them, you don't pay a penny until you get a job. I like that because you have no upfront costs. So you don't pay until you get a job, and then once you get a job, the site is going to take a percentage. Some sites don't take money from you, they take it from the buyer. Some take it from both.
How do you, is there somewhere on the site where it tells you who's ended up paying?
Yeah, if you go to how it works, it'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly all of them have how it works. Anyway, nobody in here has been on a gig site, and everybody in here needs to.
And what is your definition of gig?
Gig means a temporary.
Oh, a gig, like a
G-I-G.
Okay, I thought it was related to the digital.
But this is the digital gig economy. This part is, but a gig is just any non-full-time work, project-based work. Okay. Any questions? I gotta go pretty fast now. Is this helpful?
Yes. Yeah.
See, I don't have enough time. All right. So anyway, you guys can look at all of these gig sites. A lot of them are remote, so you work from home. Some of them, like Local Solo, that's a site where they tell you where locally people are hiring part-time people. But if you look for the ones, there's some 50-plus sites for those of you who are that old. If you look for those are employers who are very much interested in mature workers. So I'm wrapping it up, and this is what I call your midlife opportunity online path. So if you're going to do consulting, if you're going to do freelancing, if you're going to do project work offline, you also need to have a presence online. Because offline, you know how to do the work, right? So you need to find the clients and sell. And the way you find the clients and sell is you do your networking on purpose. No more going to all of this networking stuff where you're wasting money buying coffee. You can drink at home for free. But you're networking on purpose. So you're going to places where people are that you need to meet. And if I go to a networking event, and if there's any way for me to know who's there in advance, I will find out who's there in advance, and I will choose the people I want to connect with, and I will hunt them down. Because I don't have time to waste. And you don't either. You got things to do. So anyway, whether you're online or offline, you're going to have to do some of this. You need to develop your thought leadership. Everybody in here, in addition to everything else you're doing, you probably want to get a free website. You have a free website to complement your LinkedIn profile and all of this job board stuff you do. So you can get a one-page free website where there you can pack it up with testimonials from people about how great you are, the last wonderful projects you did, because people are going to look you up online. So you might as well not let them find you on Facebook doing something that your kids are ashamed of, you know, dancing or something. So you stack the cards in your favor and you create your own thought leadership. So find out like where the folks are that you're trying to reach, whether it's if you're trying to do a business or if it's people you're targeting for getting a job. You find out what social media they use. Most of you guys, LinkedIn is a big one. And you make your presence known. You don't just comment on things. You write the articles and you do all of the stuff. If you're not a good writer, then comment on people's things. Join the groups. Be active. Say something. The people who say something, people think they are smart. A sales funnel. Everybody know what a sales funnel is? No. Okay. So if you're going to do something on your own to make some money, say you're going to be a consultant or whatever, you always want to have at least 3 things to sell. So somebody tell me if you're interested in consulting, what do you do? Yes.
Biotech recruiting.
Biotech recruiting.
But I don't know if I want to do that.
Okay, so what do you think you want to do?
I haven't tried to do
Okay, so you need to be assessed. Biotech recruiting, that's kind of hard because that's a very specific thing that you would do. That would be a little bit hard for you to, not unless you were going to do like a class to help new recruiters. You could do that. But, you know, that's a hard one for me. You stumped me.
I got 2 questions.
Yeah.
So one, okay, so everything that you've shown on all your things is, that's where I am. One struggle I'm having is with how much time am I spending getting certifications in some of my expertise areas simultaneously with looking for full-time work. I want the full-time work because that's a solid paycheck coming in. I have many skills that I can do and sell them individually, but it's kind of like a tug of war for my time and attention. My brain is looking at job announcements is fixed one way, and then my entrepreneurial brain, you know, or my working on my certifications is kind of another thing. So this is what I wanted to ask you. Okay, so people tell you on LinkedIn that you want to get recommendations, not forget about the endorsements, you want recommendations. Do you have anything to say about how people look at you? Like, I haven't gone on LinkedIn yet because I'm trying to really make sure I know who I am when I go up, because once I'm up live, you know, people can see me. Am I going up as an entrepreneur looking for those little contracts you're talking about? Or am I going up as a worker looking for a job?
You're going up on LinkedIn as a worker. You're going over to their contracting site as a contractor.
Okay, LinkedIn has that, like that expert, that
pro
corner,
finder,
something like that.
Yeah. So you go there as the pro who's working for herself. Go to LinkedIn and get a job.
How many jobs would you? How many do you think you have to do? Like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 free things so that you can actually do the work and have someone write you a recommendation or write you a review and then start charging? do you think you should charge right off the bat, even though you're tried untrue with no reviews?
On LinkedIn or on?
On whatever. Okay, you talk about sell. I don't have any problem selling myself.
Okay, you can get reviews from people you already work from. This is not your first job.
Okay, right. But
Right?
you said right, but we're thinking out of the box. So let's say I'm going to sell a talent that is not the work I've been doing.
That nobody knows about.
How many free times should I do it?
What is the talent?
What is the talent?
Because it depends on what you're doing.
Yoga teacher.
Don't
So-
do any free. No, you could do maybe like.
But I don't have my cert finished yet, so I don't have that 200-hour registered yoga teacher cert.
Okay,
in
well
my
then you
hand.
can't do much if you're not certified.
Okay, well, okay, so take the cert off. Let's say I'm giving, I'm a vegetarian. I'm giving vegetarian nutrition advice or something like that. I'm just saying, I feel like one of the jobs that I'm kind of looking for, I see that I'm really too old, I'm overqualified, blah, 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 blah. So now I'm thinking about, what if I do something for someone completely for free so I can have a proven track record?
Yeah, you
to tell
can
somebody.
do some free stuff, but if you do free stuff, then you have to tell the person right at the beginning, look, Jane, I normally charge $250 for this, but I'm just getting started in it. I'm willing to do it for you, but I need a recommendation for you. If I do a good job, is that agreeable? And they'll say yes. So it really depends on what you're doing, how much stuff you want to give away. Okay, we're right about at 8:30. Let me take this question and I'm going to turn it over to experience. Yes.
I have a quick question. If you, like you mentioned marketing yourself and how important it is to market yourself, and you also mentioned spreading yourself wide, grab everything that you can do. Is there,
Let me clarify that. Let me clarify that. I didn't say do everything you can do. I don't believe in that.
Okay,
I
that's
believe
right,
in looking at everything you can do and deciding where you start. You can't do everything at the same time. If you do, you're not going to be the master of anything. So you just look at what are your options, and then you say, well, I'm going to test. I'm going to start at wherever. And if this works, it's like you test, you tweak, you test, you tweak. That's the way people are building businesses now. They're not coming out with the perfect anything. They're testing and tweaking. So you do that with whatever it is. If it still doesn't work, after you tweak it a few times, you say, maybe that's not the right thing, and maybe I misjudged the market or whatever, and then you can try something else. But no, I don't think people should do 1,000 things. You can do 2 things at a time, but you can't do a whole bunch of things at a time.
I just want to call attention to everyone. My background is in both marketing and sales, and I take my hat off to you that out of 5 different concepts you have up there, 2 of the 5 are related to sales.
Sales is critical.
People are afraid of selling themselves in an interview, selling themselves in a networking environment, and we have to get over that fear.
Yeah.
Because that fear is holding you back from either getting a job, if that's what you want, or getting a contract, or getting a project. Really, I think this is very telling. Out of 5 different things, 2 are related to sales. You really have to, if you don't want to sell, you have to get over it.
Yeah.
And try to really
And
do
you know
your
what
best.
the real key to selling is? If you believe it, you'll sell it. So that means you have to have confidence in yourself. I had written 3 books, and I could not say I was a writer because I knew the truth about me, that I had poor grammar. I couldn't tell you if a quote comes before, after the period. I don't know any of that. I don't do it now. But I couldn't say I was a writer because I thought writers used like a lot of descriptive words, and I wasn't descriptive. I was a process writer. I teach, so that's the way I write. But I had 3 books. Isn't that crazy? So I had to accept that I am a writer. I just am a writer who always have editors in my back pocket. Okay,
So what's the
so
quickest way to quickly get up to speed on sales if you don't have that in your background?
go look at some free stuff online. YouTube, you can learn anything you want to learn. Okay, so I'm going to skip this, but basically, if you're going to do your own thing, you got to find your customers' pain. You got to tell everybody. If you tell everybody what you do, somebody will hire you. Talk to experts. Always be talking about what you're doing. Always. Don't feel like you're bragging. You don't have to be a used car salesman. Just tell people what you're doing. And you will be surprised. Oh, my sister was just talking about she needs that. You'll be surprised at how quickly you can get contracts. And then I'm just talking about, you know, if you're going to look at your competitors, you look at them. You don't look at them to be envious. Oh, they're doing this, they're doing it. No, you look at them, see how they're messaging, what they're offering, what they're saying, what keywords are they using. And then you introduce into the marketplace a MVP, which is minimally viable product. And you're all familiar with that. Just think of the iPhone. The iPhone is never complete. No software is ever complete. Those people that work in that area, they got it down pat. And you can do the same thing with your marketing stuff. So anyway, this is my book. It's coming out soon. And it really is going to be about the online marketplace. And then if you want more information from me.
There's a shadow. Can you step over to, there you go.
Oh, I'm so sorry. If you want anything else from me, I'm going to tell you this. The text number, you guys got to get with it. If you don't know about that, you got to learn how to do it. You need to have your own. So you just tell people what number to text to. You would text 44222, and then it's going to come back and say thank you or something, and you put in gig work, and then it will direct you to the free big assessment. Get with technology that's cheap or free so that you will look very knowledgeable and very up to date. Anyway, so these are some things that you can do with me. And now, Evan is a great example of all of this. So why don't you introduce yourself?
How are you?
Introduce yourself and tell us what you used to do before you got into this whole gig world.
I spent the last 11 years as the executive director of Building Bridges Across the River, which is a nonprofit that started a facility in Southeast Washington called the ARC, the Town Hall Education, Arts, and Recreation Campus. And it's a 16-acre campus. We built a building that cost over $32 million. 11 different nonprofits are there, like Children's Hospital, Washington Ballet, Levine School of Music, Covenant House, Washington. And so I led that collaboration from when the building opened.
So you had a big time job.
Yes, I did.
So then you left.
And so I left, and you know, it was a very interesting period for me because 3-4 days after I left, my uncle passed, and also I had just gotten over a nasty divorce, and so in a sense I needed a break, and so you know, part of what I started to do was to get creative in terms of similar to how you articulated in terms of looking at what it is I have. And my biggest asset was my home. And so one of the things I decided to do, I looked at my basement and all the space I had, thought about doing the daycare, but then I was like, do I really want to spend the time getting the certifications and bringing the space up to code? And so I decided to put in a kitchenette and turn that into a basement apartment. Then I also, because I live close to the Coast Guard headquarters, I started renting out rooms in my attic to officers, you know. All you know, uniform military, they get a stipend, so you know, it's almost guaranteed money. and most of them went home on the weekend because they live in like Southern Virginia, like down in Norfolk, so I really didn't see them much. Then I also took your similar approach and had a garage sale and, you know, made like $800 off of it. And
let me take you back to the housing situation, because if you turned your basement into an apartment, then how did that impact your financial situation? I mean, I don't want you to give us numbers.
Right. No, but between that basement apartment and the rooms in my attic, I was covering my mortgage and
That's
expenses.
good. That's good.
And one of the other things that I did too was try to skin the cat in other ways. I looked into putting solar panels on my roof to try to reduce my expenses. There's a program I found out about, but I couldn't avail myself of it. DC Housing Authority actually has a program. If you're behind on your mortgage, like by 3 months, they will pay like 9 months to a year up to $70,000 of your mortgage. You know, so you know, like I said, you need to be creative. Like I said, go on DC Housing Authority's, you know, website.
Is that available in Maryland or
We should look for it.
Yeah, look for it. And you know, and I'm still looking at that asset that I have, because in terms of my home, I have a double lot, and I'm looking at subdividing it and maybe either building another house to sell or to turn into a rental. You know, and so I think it's real key, you know, like you said, just to, you know, really assess what you have and make sure that you are maximizing it. And because of having that income coming in, then it gave me breathing space to then try to really make sure that I was seeking my passion in terms of what it is that I wanted to do next, and not just be rushed to find another paycheck.
So what about your skill set? Those are really great ways, and I hope people are really listening to this. And I don't know if people here, you know, are in situations where you need some money like quickly or whatever, but keep that in the back of your mind if it ever comes to that. That, I mean, I really appreciate all of that.
And I also Uber.
Okay.
And part of it for me.
Was that profitable? I hear some people complain.
Well, they do these incentive bonuses. If you make your number on getting the bonuses, like for the week or for the weekend, then it is decent money. If it isn't, then it's a crapshoot. Or when they have certain, like during the rush hours, they incentivize what the compensation is.
Okay.
So, you know, just.
What about like, so rush hour is a good time to drive? Weekends, are they good?
Rush hour on weekends. So, and it was important for me too, because I have a 5-year-old daughter, to make sure I still have flexibility for her. So that gave me the time to make a little income, but still have the flexibility, you know, to be there for her. But then also, then free me up to, you know, look into, because I've started consulting for others, you know, I have time to do that too, in terms of, since you can Uber.
So what kind of consulting are you looking at? What skills did you bring to the table?
From community engagement, community development, in terms of, you know, been looking at consulting in the nonprofit world, as well as, you know, for developers, and also because I spent the majority of my professional career working in Southeast Washington, and there are a lot of companies that are moving east, but they don't know how to engage the community, because you know, the community has a lot of contempt when organizations come in because they promise the world and don't deliver. You know, working with organizations that, you know, are trying to come east of the river.
So what advice do you give to people about getting into this whole kind of gig kind of mind frame?
Well, I think that it's so important that mentally you have yourself in a good space so that you know, you can move in that direction, because you know, there are days when and that's why like the Monday morning meeting is so important. You know, you got to make sure that, because you're going to have times when you're going to be frustrated and depressed and go through the range of emotion, and you got to give yourself that moment, but you can't stay there. And so, you know, it's real important that you have things to do to get you out of that. And for me, it was something as simple as like on rainy days, I knew I couldn't be stuck in the house, and so I would go over my buddy's house and take my laptop and work from there and go to a coffee shop. And so it's real important that you're always doing things where you're taking steps, you know, forward, and so that, you know, because you're not gonna stay unemployed forever. I mean, it's a season that, you know, you're in, and all seasons have beginnings and they have ends, and so it's just a matter of making sure that when you're in the season that you learn what you need to learn and are supposed to learn, so that you're not apt to repeat it.
Right. Anything else you want to add? I want to be cognizant of people's time, but
I have a question. That was quite a long time you were working for them. Did you ever have the occasion to interview or have people seeking employment that you had jurisdiction over that was 40 plus?
Most of the folks I hired were entry-level positions, you know, with the exception of a few specialty positions, because like we also oversaw his theater, and so. You
So
know,
someone else did hiring for people who were closer to your level? Or there were no jobs closer to your level?
Well, you know, from the time I was there, when I first started, it was me, an assistant, and a building engineer. And so over that 11 years, you know, the staff grew in addition to the professional staff, but outside of myself, the rest of the professional staff was a CFO and a development director and a marketing director. So it wasn't that many, you know, positions that I hired for that were, you know, professional.
So you don't want to do what you're doing for someone else, you want to do it as a contractor?
No,
Or
not necessarily. I mean, but I want to find the right position. You know, I would, in my old position, I worked 6 days a week and a lot of evenings, and what made it bearable was I lived close to where I worked. And because of having, you know, a child who's now starting to come age and have activities, I don't want to go back to the same grind, you know, that I had.
Different priorities, right?
Yes, correct.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, I just wanted to say in closing that I hope this was helpful. I feel like I kind of rushed through things, and since I see that you guys don't know a lot about the online gig economy, I think that's something you need to really investigate, because there's a lot of opportunities there. And even if you want to travel international, there are gigs for U.S. citizens that want to go abroad, especially like teaching English. So just don't be very narrow in the way you look at this whole thing. Be very broad and be very open. And if you've got any of those little skills, like those pathways to cash, do them. You know, you'd be surprised, you know. One last story. I love to end on a story. One person I knew got laid off, and she was mad because she felt they were discriminating against her. And so I sat down with her and I said, well, you know, let's look at the things that you really love. And everybody always admired her house. Her house is gorgeous, like Christmas, 3 or 4 trees, you know, theme, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So I said, you know, you should probably do a TV show called Design on a Dime. There already was one of those. So it's like, what about doing like, and I thought about, oh, you got a cousin who's a real estate person. What about staging? she started doing staging right away. She connected with her cousin, got a contract right away, and people just started picking her up. She staged with furniture from her house until she got to a place where she needed to actually have storage. She got a partner, and they both had gorgeous houses. Well, then she has a lot of rental property, and I said, you know, you do a lot of that. You know how to work with these contractors and stuff. And I said, you know, maybe there's something for you to do there. I said, because I would hire somebody who would come in and renovate something for me. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And she said, really? I said, yeah, do my bathroom. I picked out nothing, because she has great taste, better than mine. I picked out nothing. I didn't do anything. I love that kind of service. And so she did her first job, you know, subcontracting it out. She is now a general contractor. It's only been 5 years, and she's headed toward her first $1 million.
Wow.
So you don't know where things are going to end up. So, you know, you might have looked at that list and said, I'm not going to walk dogs, I'm not going to do whatever. If you love animals, try it. You don't know what you could end up owning a dog store. Or
Did you get a royalty for having given her that idea? From the seed of their idea?
No, she gives me nothing but a hard time.
Well, no, I had a similar story that I just wanted to share also. I have a neighbor who's a realtor, and when the market turned about 6 years ago, he started selling firewood, chopping it up at his house. He makes $40,000 a year on the side selling firewood.
I like it.
And on face value, you wouldn't think that you could make that kind of money selling firewood. So, you know, don't make assumptions, find out, and go from there.
Probably got some good ads from that, too.
Yeah.
Right. Word of mouth, too.
Well, please join me in thanking Angela. And on behalf of 40 Plus, we'd like to share a couple of mementos with you so that you'll have a way to kind of think of us each morning as you're getting charged up to start the day. All right.
Thank you.
So we have a quick prize. We're going to do a random drawing because we want everybody to fill in their evaluation forms and hand them back. We'll do a monthly drawing for January. But for this evening, we're going to do a special drawing for a gift that we received from the author, The Big Book of Apps. Even though it's a book, we all know that apps today, you can find everything on it. I fell in love with a new app today, Spot Hero. How many folks use Spot Hero? Spot Hero. Parking?
Oh, I just did.
Parking? I got 3 hours of parking across the street from the White House today for $9. I was like spending the day yesterday thinking, I gotta be there, and then I gotta be in Virginia, so I have to take the car. How do I do this? How do I $9? Spot Hero. Okay, so the way we're gonna do this, very simple. Whose birthday here in 2018 hasn't happened yet, but it's as close as who has the closest birthday to today that hasn't happened yet in 2018? Do we have any January birthdays? Any February birthdays?
February.
Okay, what day?
February 1st.
Oh, no.
All right, the Book of Apps is all yours.
I want her book.
Well, we have to talk to Angela about that. So thank you all for coming. Tell your friends. Please join us any Monday. We have a full class that actually started this evening with our pre-class assessment, and they'll continue in their journey for the next 4 weeks. But we'll begin another class in March. So if you're thinking about how do I think differently about my search process, come see us on a Monday and talk to us about what we can offer for you at 40 Plus. The class really does make a difference. We have several people in the audience that have been through the program, and they'd be happy to tell you more. So thank you all for coming this evening. We still have some snacks. Please help yourself and continue networking. We don't have a time limit, don't we need to leave. So thanks again. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you.